Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, welcome. I am Fakhr Zaman. In today's lecture, we will discuss unit number 5, Effective Communication Through Writing, course code 8415. In this unit, we will discuss the writing process, planning and organizing messages, composing messages, editing and publishing messages. In writing to clients and customers, we will discuss neutral or positive messages, negative messages, and persuasive messages. First of all, I'm going to talk about planning and organizing messages. Dear students, have you ever sent a message that you wished you had not sent? Maybe you wished you had stated your ideas differently. Do you feel uneasy about your written communications? If so, the problem may be that you don't take time to plan before you begin to compose. Planning a message involves these 4 steps. First, identify the objective. Second, determine the main idea. Third, select supporting details. And fourth, last, adjust the message for the receiver. So first we should talk about identify the objective. An objective is a goal or an outcome you want to achieve. The objective of a message may be to promote goodwill, inform, request, record, or persuade. Every business message should promote goodwill. Goodwill is a positive feeling or attitude toward others or the positive reputation or image of the company. It contributes to the success of the company and to the stability of your job because it strengthens business relationships. Goodwill helps attract and keep customers and encourages good working relationships. You can determine the other objectives of a message by asking yourself what you hope to accomplish with the message. The second is determine the main idea. After determining the objectives of a message, the next step is to identify its main idea. The main idea is the central theme or most important thought. For example, in a message informing a customer about the delivery of pet supplies, the main idea is the time the delivery will arrive. In a request for furniture prices, the main idea is the price of the furniture. The main idea of a record of a telephone conversation is the topic discussed. In a message to persuade readers to buy an appliance, the main idea is that readers should buy the appliance from this particular merchant. Next is choose supporting details. Supporting details include essential facts that explain, reinforce, or justify the main idea. Details should be stated in terms receivers can understand and from which they can benefit. Dear students, make sure receivers have all of the information they need to respond to your message. To select supporting details, answer these questions. What does the receiver need to know about the main idea to respond completely to my message? And the second, how will the message benefit the receiver? The last one is adjust the message for the receiver. Consider the audience for the message and adjust the content of the message to meet the needs or gain the interest of the receivers. Practice empathy. Put yourself in the place of the receiver. Through empathy, you can see a situation from the receiver's point of view and compose a message accordingly. When you adjust the content of your messages, you will write considerate, receiver-oriented messages. Writing in this style is called the U approach. जब आप अपने आप को रिसीवर की जगह पर रखकर मैसेज टाइप करते हैं तो इस स्टाइल को U approach भी कहा जाता है. Dear students, answer the questions to help you adjust a message for your receiver. What is the age, the gender of the receiver? How much knowledge, experience, and education does the receiver have about the subject of the message? What does the receiver need to know about this subject? What opinions or attitudes might the receiver have about the subject? How does the receiver feel about me or my department, company, or product? How can my message benefit the receiver? Okay, dear students, now moving to the organizing messages. Organizing messages is a step to determine the order in which to present the information business messages are organized using. After identifying the content of the message, your next step is to determine the order in which to present the information. The order depends on how you expect the receiver to react, favorably or unfavorably, to the message. Business messages are organized using direct order, indirect order, and direct-indirect order. So first we should talk about direct order. To organize a message using direct order, present the main idea first and follow it with the supporting details. Favorable, positive, and neutral messages should be organized in direct order. By beginning with a positive statement, the sender establishes a positive tone for the message. Routine messages are often neutral and also should be organized in direct order. It is assumed that the receiver will respond in a positive or neutral manner. The second is indirect order. A message organized in indirect order presents the supporting details before the main idea. Unfavorable, negative, and persuasive messages should be written using the indirect order. Stating supporting information before presenting the bad news helps prepare the receiver for the negative message. The preparation helps the receiver accept the negative message. The negative message in the example uses an indirect order. For example, thank you, a message like thank you, a person, for example, A for applying for a loan with a bank. Your business is important to us. In reviewing your record, we find that your reported sources of income don't support or granting you another loan at this time. When you have repaid your existing loans, you may qualify for the loan you seek. Please contact us again at this time. Next is direct and indirect order. Use direct indirect order when you have both good news and bad news for the receiver. In those situations, present the good news first using direct order, then present the bad news using indirect order. Give the reasons for the bad news, then state the bad news itself. Use the direct indirect approach increases the chance that the receiver will understand the message and accept its outcome. Dear students, now moving to the composing messages. First, we should know effective. What is effective messages? Effective business messages are those that build goodwill and achieve their objectives. Effective business messages have several traits in common. They are courteous, correct, concise, clear, and complete. Courteous messages help build goodwill, a goal of all business messages. Concise messages show respect for the reader's time. They don't include unrelated details that waste the reader's time and distract from the real message. Being correct, clear, and complete improves the chances that the message will be understood as the sender intends. Dear students, if you want to make your messages more effective, so then the messages should be courteous, correct, concise, clear, and complete. So first we should talk about courteous messages. Courteous messages are positive, considerate, and bias-free. They use the receiver's proper titles. They capture the receiver's attention and encourage positive response. Remember, an important step is showing courtesy is saying please and thank you. Courteous words show receivers that you appreciate them. This message is important whether the receiver is a customer, a coworker, or some other person. For example, uh, less than courteous sentence like you inquired about, send me, and I know you are willing to. And the courteous sentences are, thank you for inquiring about, please send me. Your willingness to is appreciated. In courteous messages, we should have a positive words, proper titles, and bias-free words. Positive words, as you have already learned, one purpose of every business message is to promote goodwill. Use a courteous and positive tone even when your message contains negative news. State what can be done rather than what cannot be done. Discuss what something is rather than what it is not. The receiver will have a positive response, or at least a less negative one, when the tone of the message is positive. For example, the negative words are you can't have a refund without a receipt. I can't answer your question until I receive more details. And the positive words are you may have a refund as soon as you submit the receipt. And please send the following details so that I can respond to your question. The second one is proper title. Show respect for receivers by using their proper title. Use the titles Mr., Mrs., Miss before last name if the receivers have no professional title. If the receiver have a professional title such as doctor, use the title abbreviation before the last name. For example, use DR for doctor. The next is bias-free words. Courteous business messages don't offend the receiver by showing biases. A bias is a belief or opinion that hinders fair and impartial actions, or judgment. Courteous messages don't make the receiver feel singled out in a negative way. Biases to beware of include those related to gender, race, age, and disability. Dear students, the next is correct messages. Correct messages are those that don't contain errors or omit needed information. Correct messages create a positive impression of the writer. Messages that contains errors create a negative impression of the writer. When creating messages, make sure the main idea and the supporting details are correct. आप जब भी मैसेज कंपोज कर रहे हो, टाइप कर रहे हो, तो दुरुस्त मैसेज, इनकरेक्ट अगर मैसेज होगा तो उसका नेगेटिव इंप्रेशन पड़ेगा, और करेक्ट मैसेज होगा तो उसका एक बहुत पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा रिसीवर पर। अब करेक्ट मैसेजेस में आपको किन दो बातों का ख्याल रखना है, वो है फर्स्ट द मेन आइडिया एंड द सेकंड supporting details. These should be correct. The main idea. When identifying the main idea of a message, dear students, be sure you understand the facts correctly. For example, when you say in a letter that your company will bid on a work project, this is a commitment on the part of your company. If you have misunderstood and the company managers don't want to pursue this job, you may lose goodwill for your company later when you don't submit a bid. Getting the main idea of a message wrong can result in lost goodwill, lost business, or lost money for the company. The second, supporting details. Check all the supporting details included in a business message. Pay special attention to dates and numbers. The next is concise messages. Good business messages are concise. Concise messages are brief and to the point. They don't contain unrelated material that can distract the reader from the important points of the message. Brief is a term that means short. However, concise messages are not so short that they omit important details or seem rude. In concise messages, we have four elements. The first is unnecessary elements, second, redundancies, third, empty phrases, and last one is active voice. So first we should talk about unnecessary elements. Business messages should use concise sentences. When you write, express one clear thought in each sentence. Unnecessary sentence elements such as redundancies, empty phrases, and unneeded words weaken business messages. As you adjust your message to be concise, keep in mind the information the receiver already knows and the information she or he needs to know. Second, redundancies. Redundancy is needless repetition. Sometimes a writer uses two or three words whose meanings overlap when one word is all that is needed. For example, say gift instead of free gift, say to instead of for the purpose of. The third one is empty phrases. Empty phrases clutter sentences without adding meaning. I believe, in my opinion, and for the purpose of, are examples of empty phrases. The meaning behind those phrases is usually implied, so you don't need to use them when you write. Cut down on sentence clutter by using a word or a short phrase rather than a longer clause. The examples of empty phrases, we have two sentences which show how to avoid empty phrases and wordness. The empty phrases. I believe the best plan is to establish guidelines for situations such as this. But better sentence is we should establish guidelines for such situation. And now the last one is active voice. To cut down on wordness, use active voice rather than passive voice in your message. When you write in the active voice, the subject of the sentence performs the action of the verb. In passive voice, the subject receives the action. Using active voice creates a direct message and keeps sentence from being too wordy. For example, passive is the past idea was submitted by, for example, person A, and active is a person A submitted the best idea. The next is clear messages. Clear messages are specific, precise, and complete. They use concrete words and terms rather than vague words and terms. They provide all the information needed for receivers to understand the message. They don't contain contradictory information. The clear messages should be clear words and sentences and contradictory information, such as many, better, bigger, fast, later, and soon provide some information. However, they are not specific or precise. Rather than saying that something is better, tell what makes it better. Instead of saying a project will be finished soon, give a completion date. Clear messages state information in a way that will not be easily misunderstood. For example, suppose you get a message on Thursday afternoon that asks you to come to a meeting next Friday. You may wonder whether the sender wants you to attend a meeting tomorrow or a week from now. Instead, the sender should say, attend a meeting on Friday, April 12, for example. The second one is contradictory information. Clear messages don't contain contradictory information that will be confusing to readers. Contradictory means inconsistent or opposing. Suppose the first paragraph of the letter you receive says, thank you for agreeing to speak to our group on December 10, for example. Other details about the meeting are given in the last paragraph. The letter says, please let me know if you need directions to our location. We look forward to seeing you on December 8th. The dates are inconsistent and you would likely to confused about when the meeting will take place. The next is complete message. Complete messages contains all the information needed to achieve the objectives of the sender. To compose complete messages, consider what your readers need to know: dates, times, locations, addresses, quantities, amounts, and other details may be needed. Leaving out even one detail from a letter or memo can make it useless to the recipients. Here we have the 5 W's: complete, paragraph, and message structure. So first we should talk about the 5 W's. Complete business messages often include the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why. Many business messages require several paragraphs to cover the 5 W's. Adjust the message for your receiver. In some cases, the receiver may not need all 5 pieces of information because some details are already known. The second is complete paragraph. In business writing, the beginning sentence of a paragraph is usually a topic sentence. It gets right to the point by stating the paragraph's main idea. Middle sentences develop the topic sentence or main idea of the paragraph. These sentences give the receiver a description, an example, or other information to support the main idea. The ending sentence brings the paragraph to a close. It may be a short summary of the other sentences or restate the beginning sentence in a different way. The last one is message structure. A message can consist of only one paragraph. However, most complete business messages have opening, developmental, and closing paragraphs. The opening paragraph identifies the subject of the letter or memo. And opening paragraphs should be short, only 2 to 5 key lines. One or more developmental paragraphs follow the opening paragraph. About the main idea of the message, these paragraphs are usually longer than the opening paragraph. The closing paragraph ends a message. It may summarize the message or refer to the main idea stated in the opening paragraph. The writer may thank the reader or ask the reader to take some action in this paragraph. The closing paragraph also can build goodwill. अजीज तलबा तलबात, अब हम बढ़ते हैं नेक्स्ट टॉपिक की जानिब। राइटिंग प्रोसेस में नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है एडिटिंग एंड पब्लिशिंग मैसेजेस। इसमें हम सबसे पहले बात करेंगे एडिटिंग मैसेजेस के हवाले से। एडिटिंग इज reviewing and revising, changing a message to improve it. Editing is so important that you should plan to spend as much time editing as you do composing. When you edit, focus on the main ideas and the content of your message. Consider the questions as you edit a message. Have you considered the reader? Have you included what the reader needs or wants to know? Is the message courteous? Are the words and tone of the message positive and boisterous? Is the message correct and complete? Have you checked all the facts included in the message? Have you included all the needed information? Is the message concise and clear? Is the message written in an interesting style? You will hold your reader's attention if you use variety in the length and structure of sentences and paragraphs. Have you used appropriate transitions? The next is proofreading messages. Proofreading is reviewing and correcting the final draft of a message. Proofreading differs from editing in that it mainly involves looking for errors or omissions rather than improving writing style or tone. The next is spelling and grammar checker. Almost all word processing programs include a spelling checker, and many include a grammar checker as well. These programs or functions are useful. Therefore, you should make a habit of using them. Don't assume, however, that they can replace your own editing or proofreading. Spelling checkers catch obvious spelling or keying errors. They don't find errors for most proper nouns, nor do they help with words substitutions. The next is proofreaders marks. Proofreader marks are words and symbols used to mark edits on hard copy documents. Now we are moving to the publishing messages. Up until now, you have been paying attention to composing your message and making sure it is logical and mechanically correct. Now you are ready to publish your work. To publish a message is to send it to the receiver and make the message available to the receiver. Sending an email message, meaning a letter, and posting a page on our website are examples of ways to publish a message. In publishing messages, we have appropriate methods. So first of all, we should talk about appropriate methods. Selecting an appropriate method for publishing a message is important. For example, a message to a coworker that contains sensitive or confidential data should not be sent an email message. A printed memo should be used instead. Letters are considered to be more formal than email messages or memos. Letters are typically used to send messages to people outside the organization. Websites are used by many companies to provide information about products or services to customers. The next is appearance codes. To make sure you are ready to publish, you must elevate your message from a physical or visual viewpoint. In appearance codes, we have paper and format. So first we should talk about paper. For printed documents, the paper should not be thin, nor should it be wrinkled or stained. The ink on the paper, whether from a pen or a printer, should be dark, not faded. There should be no stray ink marks. The quality of a paper you use varies with the type of business message you are sending. Resumes and formal business letters should be printed on the highest quality paper. The company you work for will likely have letterhead on high quality paper that is pre-printed with the company's logo, name, address, and so on. Internal memos and routine reports are usually printed on a lower quality paper. Nonetheless, they must be neat and attractive. So the second is format. Take a look at any book or magazine around you. Notice that each page contains a certain amount of white space. Readers' eye needs this white space to help focus on the printed words. Notice too that the printed lines of text are not usually more than about 4.5 inches wide, and they are often much shorter. You need to set up your business documents with these same ideas in mind. You want your documents to be easy for the receiver to read. In addition, you want it to be attractive. अजीज तलबा तलबात, अब हम बढ़ते हैं नेक्स्ट टॉपिक की जानिब, जो कि है राइटिंग टू क्लाइंट्स एंड कस्टमर्स। सबसे पहले हम राइटिंग टू क्लाइंट्स एंड कस्टमर्स में न्यूट्रल और पॉजिटिव मैसेजेस के हवाले से जानेंगे। So first we should know what is neutral messages. Some documents such as routine requests or claims contain neutral messages. In a message with neutral news, the main idea is neither positive nor negative. The sender of these neutral messages think the receivers will respond as requested. The receivers are not being persuaded to do something. So in neutral messages, we have two types: routine requests and claims. So first we should talk about routine requests. In a routine request, the sender asks for an action that will be done willingly. This type of request is presented in a direct order. For example, if you ask someone to speak at event, you need to provide the receiver with the details, the topic, the background knowledge, and expected size of the audience, date, time, and location of the presentation, the amount the speaker will be paid if appropriate, details about travel arrangements. In routine request, reveal the main idea only in the message, provide the necessary supporting details concisely, close in a polite, helpful manner. The plan is used for routine request. Main idea: state the request politely and directly and provide the reason for the request if appropriate. Details: provide the information required to obtain a complete response such as time, dates, benefits to receiver, and terms of payment. Closing: end pleasantly and indicate the action the receiver should take. The second one is claims. A claim is a message that requests a refund, an exchange, or a discount or merchandise or services. Customers and clients use a direct order in claims to communicate to the receiver that they expect an adjustment. A positive settlement to a claim. Main idea: ask for an adjustment. Details: explain the problem or the reason for the request and identify the damage if damage occurred. Closing: end with a positive statement and indicate how to correct the situation. Dear students, a claim message should have a positive but firm tone. Claims may be submitted using email or an online form as well as by letter. Dear students, now moving to the next topic in writing to clients and customers, and the next topic is writing positive messages. A receiver will react favorably to a message that contains positive news. Examples of documents that contain positive messages are orders, positive response to request, friendship messages, and acknowledgement. For those messages, use direct order. Uh, for example, main idea: say yes to the receiver. Details: provide information the receiver needs to carry out specific instructions. Closing: end with a helpful positive closing. If the sender sells goods or services, the closing may contain a soft sell. First, we should talk about the orders. Companies usually place an order by using a form called a purchase order. Occasionally, a small company or an individual will use a letter or email to place an order. Please send me is the main idea of an order. Provide complete supporting details to ensure that an order will be filled correctly and to avoid wasting time and money for each item ordered. Indicate the stock number or catalog number, description including the size and color if applicable, quantity, order, unit cost and total cost, method of shipment, buyer's name and shipping address, method of payment. In an order, formatting the middle paragraph as a table can be helpful. Use direct order in this type of message, like main idea asks the receiver to fill the order details, supply specific information needed by the receiver, closing, and with a statement indicating the action the receiver should take. The next is positive response to a request. A positive response tells the receiver the sender is saying yes to a request. Direct order is used for positive responses. If the sender is a business, the closing may include a soft sell. For example, main idea, give a positive response to the request details, provide necessary information so the receiver knows what the sender is offering and expects. Also make necessary request, closing, and with a courteous positive statement and possibly a reminder of any action the sender wants the receiver to take. The next is goodwill messages. Dear students, a goodwill message can be an acknowledgement or a friendly message designed to build relationships. Effective goodwill messages help increase the receiver's positive feelings toward the sender. Goodwill messages may express congratulations, sympathy, welcome, or appreciation. The next is friendship messages. A friendship message says non-verbally to your receiver, I want a positive relationship with you. This type of message may or may not need supporting details. For example, when expressing sympathy, details are not appropriate. Yet details in an invitation are important. The receiver needs to know who is invited, when and where the occasion will be held, and how to dress. And the next is acknowledgement. An acknowledgement is a message that tells a sender that a message or item has been received. The objective of an acknowledgement is to maintain or build goodwill. The next topic in writing to clients and customers is writing negative messages. Many situations call for messages that contains negative news. Some messages containing negative news and need special attention. They are messages that deny a request and a message that refuse credit. So first we should talk about denying a request. In a request denial, you are saying no to another person's request. The reasons for declining a request are an important aspect of this type of message. The success of the message depends on whether the receiver judges the reasons to be valid. And the second is refusing credit. A credit refusal is a message that denies credit to an applicant. Credit may be refused for several reasons. The credit application may contain incomplete details or lack credit references. The applicant may already be in debt, behind on payments, or have insufficient income to want a loan. If credit must be refused, the receiver has a right to know why. The sender should explain the reasons tactfully. The goal is to refuse credit but maintain the person as a customer. Dear students, the next is writing messages with both positive and negative news. Once in a while, you may have to write a message that contains both positive and negative news. The steps for planning that type of message are the same as for other messages. However, in these situations, you will have two main ideas instead of just one. The positive news is the first idea and the negative news is the second. When organizing these messages, use indirect order with the good news as the opening. अजीज तलबा तलबात, इस तरह की सिचुएशन में आपके पास एक नहीं बल्कि दो आइडियाज मौजूद होते हैं. नंबर वन, the positive news in the first idea and the negative news in the second idea. Dear students, now moving to the next topic in writing to clients and customers is persuasive messages. Persuasive requests are common in the business environment. They might be sent from one employee to another or from an employee to a customer or supplier. Dear students, two special kinds of persuasive messages are sales messages and collection messages. First, we should talk about sales messages. A sales message tries to persuade a potential customer to purchase a product or service. Like other persuasive message, it involves gaining the reader's attention. The message should establish a need and show how a product or service will meet that need. Supporting details and an easy way for the reader to respond should also be included. A sales message might appeal to readers' senses by describing how something looks, sounds, feels, smells, or tastes. Now the second is collection messages. The purpose of a collection message is to persuade a customer to pay a past due bill. Collection messages have four stages. The first is the reminder stage, the strong reminder stage, the discussion stage, the urgency stage. The reminder message assumes that the customer has simply forgotten to make a payment. Now we are moving to the planning proposals. Proposals are another type of persuasive writing. A proposal is a formal document that describes a problem or need and recommends a solution. The writer establishes a need and tries to convince the reader to meet that need by taking a specific action. Proposals may be internal, such as from an employee to a supervisor. Proposal may also be external, such as from a consulting firm to a company. And now, dear students, we are talking about organizing and writing proposals. The organization and content of a proposal will vary depending on what you are proposing. Most but not all proposal contains the elements introduction, background, need, scope of project, action plan, schedule, cost, qualification, call for action, and supporting information. Introduction briefly summarize what you are proposing, what your proposal will accomplish, and what types of information are included in your proposal. Immediately begin to stress the benefits to the receiver. Background. In this optional section, you might describe the events that led to the current situation, such as changes in the company structure or in a product line, and a need from the receiver's point of view. Describe the problem that your proposal will solve or the need it will meet. In scope of project, outline your plan or solution to meet the need, and in action plan, list the steps that must be taken to carry out your proposal. The next is schedule. Schedule discuss the amount of time needed to complete the project and the deadline for each step in the action plan. In cost, explain the proposal's total cost and link the cost to the benefits the reader will receive. Qualification, describe your own qualifications if you will carry out the proposal personally or those of your company. And in call for action, just as in a persuasive message, end with a specific request for a receiver to do something, such as scheduling a message to discuss your proposal. The supporting information include any necessary supporting information, such as the names of references. Dear students, thank you very much. In today's lecture, we talked about effective communication through writing. In unit number 5, course code 8415. Thank you for all of you. Now we will meet in next lectures. Till then, Allah Hafiz.